Hey, my name's Communique, and welcome back to the Red Channel. Today I have my mom here with me, and I wanted her to react to a very specific video by Karapaskashusha, if I'm pronouncing that right, hopefully. So, this video, I've explained to you kind of the extent of World War II and, how it all where it was and everything. But this video really shows it on effect, especially in the Pacific, because when we think of World War II, we tend to think of Germany and Europe. But the thing is Japan actually did a lot of conquering too. So this actually shows every day from 1931 to 1945 of the Pacific War. And I wanted you to react to it because it's a very interesting extent of how far they expanded and then how well we fought back.
Okay.
They have some nice music as well in the background from mostly the Hearts of Iron 4 series. Vichy France was a German puppet that explosion icons mean aerial bombardments. Century during the reign of Emperor Hirohito, Greater East Asia here. Asian nations led by the Japanese and three of Western powers. This is a 12-minute video, by the way, and for everyone who hasn't gotten it already, blue is the Republic of China at this point, green is partisans, and brown is the Japanese Empire. The dates on the left.
Japan is just, wow. It pushes, and then they take a few steps back, and they push more, and then they get pushed back, and they push more, and wow.
Down here, by the way, is Manila, the capital of the Philippines, which is this right now. Right now, Philippines is a U.S.-controlled zone, but it's still semi-autonomous. These are the Dutch East Indies and British Malaya, Thailand, and French-controlled Indochina, as well as Australia down here. Tango Truce was signed between Japan and China on the 31st of May, 1933. Despite this, Japan continued to create buffer states between China and Manchukuo. November 25th, 1935 was the establishment of East Hebei, and November 30th, 1936 was the establishment of Menjiang, or Menxiang.
A truce, but they still have to protect themselves. Look at that.
Protect themselves?
Our Japanese is still kind of pushing.
Offensive.
Okay, they're offensive.
Yeah, they're on the offense. However, despite the truce, Japan continued to pull offensives.
Right. So, not sure if that's good. If there's a truce, people should,
uphold that truce.
Yes, definitely.
That would be 11 p.m. July 7th, 1937. Marco Polo Bridge incident. Japanese and Chinese forces exchanged fire.
Oh, jeez.
Japan, July 26th of 1937 was the beginning of the full-scale war between China and Japan.
So Japan was pushing through.
Yes,
Okay.
multiple people speculate. I believe it's pretty much confirmed now that Japan actually instigated. Thank you. Instigated the Marco Polo Bridge incident simply so that China would exchange fire with them and they would have a reason to go to war. Just like that, by the way, I want to point out, fell Beijing. Aerial bombardment at Shanghai. Aerial bombardment at then capital Nanjing.
There's supposed to be a truce.
They made a naval invasion here, as you can see, occupying the capital.
I see we're dreaming.
The USSR joins the war, I believe, for a few days, or at least they have a border skirmish and then pulls out again. So they have a border skirmish, I believe, and then there's another few naval invasions here, here, and here, and yet China, a war for resources, apparently, is not the last of their goals. 1939, over here in a few months, you'll see. Remember, the 1st of September 1939 is when Germany over in Europe declares war on Poland and starts World War II in Europe for real, and then Japan joins the Axis. Or at least becomes a major ally of the German Reich. They've slowed for now, and therefore therefore it gets a little bit slow here, as China slowly pushes back as well. However, things are going to get a lot worse around December in 41. A major aerial offensive at Chongqing. Vichy France has just popped into existence. Basically, mainland France over there capitulated, and a turncoat general named Philip Pétain signed a treaty with the Germans, creating kind of a German puppet state in the southern France. This puppet state owned most of Africa and their colonies here. In Indochina, but Japan demanded Indochina from an already allied state.
Oh.
And Vichy France, being a puppet state with literally no power, just kind of gave it up.
Wow.
The actual French government was exiled to Africa for a time until the Normandy landings. Thailand, by the way, joined the co-prosperity sphere and was actually a member of Japan's alliance for a while.
Really?
And actually invaded, as you can see there, a little bit of Vichy France. There goes Vichy France as it completely surrenders control of Indochina to the Japanese Empire. An important date is coming up, the day that will live in infamy within only a few months. Boom. With the attack of Pearl Harbor joined the entire Allies. And look how Japan was ready. Manila, capital of the Philippines, has already fallen. Most of the islands in the Dutch East Indies have fallen. British Malaya has fallen. Guam, occupied by, beforehand by USA, fallen. Wake Island, also USA, fallen. All of these, Gilbert, which was British, fallen. All of these within a short amount of time, a very short amount of time. Simply a month or two. Things are going to get very interesting from here, as Japan practically just, for lack of a better term, blitzkriegs the entire Pacific within but a few months. Yes!
Gee. At first I thought they were protecting themselves and these little bitty islanders, but I'm
And by the way...
What?
And by the way...
They're crazy.
They annexed Korea. That's how they managed to get into here first. We're not even seeing them annex Korea. But they annexed Korea and then moved into here first. Yes, Tibet and Mongolia was actually a Soviet puppet state. That is why they don't interfere so far. Or at least Mongolia was heavily aligned to the USSR. I believe they were independent, but they were heavily aligned and therefore followed most of the words of the USSR. Tibet is very neutral, yes. Also, it's important to point out that technically, while the Republic of China is shown as one full country here, these points of land were actually occupied by warlords at a time. So over here was Xinjiang? I'm not sure how to say it. But this piece over here was aligned towards the USSR as well. This piece was a place known as Zibei-Sanma. This was Shaanxi. A small piece of over here was Xi'an, was owned by, at that point, runaway communist states under Mao Zedong. This over here was Guangxi, Yunnan, and I think I might be forgetting one. Oh yeah, Shaanxi up here. So these were actually occupied by a lot of warlord states, but technically the Republic of China still owned that land officially. I believe so, yes. They lost an Aleutian Island. Yes. This island here, one of the Aleutians, right? Yes, a part of Alaska. Attu and Kiska, which were occupied by Japan for a time, is actually the closest we've ever gotten to mainland USA being invaded by a foreign power. Right. So that is actually the closest we've ever gotten to actually being considered invaded on our land. So Attu and Kiska, those two islands there, were occupied by Japan at a time, and then we took them back. If you pay attention over here down at the bottom, a little bit is coming back. As the British and United States, mostly the United States, begins island hopping from island to island, fiercely fighting. Most of Japan's forces wouldn't even surrender when there was 10% of the total manpower. as said by a comment on this video, they had to fight for a long time.
My dad was born in April of 45. My grandpa was in
An important note, and part of the reason why I kind of wanted you to react to this. A part of the Philippines has just been liberated. This was liberated by General Douglas MacArthur, I believe, who had to run in the initial attack back to the United States and fiercely proclaimed that he would return. Upon returning, he said to the Filipino people, "I have returned," in a very famous quote.
Better stuff? Oh my god, look at that.
Well, more prepared.
Yes.
Iwo Jima has just been occupied. Or, yes, I believe. Yes, Iwo Jima actually, in kind of a reversal of what happened up here in Atu and Kiska, Iwo Jima has just been occupied by the U.S. forces. That's where that very cool picture of the American forces lifting up the flag on the island, that is where that picture took place on Iwo Jima.
Yep.
That was actually core Japanese land.
Wow.
And something we very much needed at this point to end the war. At this point, by the way, I believe, don't quote me again, I believe that Germany was about ready to surrender at this point. We had broken through. I believe the Normandy landings have happened. I'm not exactly sure the date, but they're either about to or have happened.
And that's where my other grandpa was.
Aha.
Mm-hmm.
And Germany is on the losing at this point. So Japan is one of the only strong powers still standing in the Axis. Hey, look, the USSR.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. Also, notice these two radiation pieces here. Yeah, we bombed Okinawa and Hiroshima.
Oh, Hiroshima. Oh, okay.
These have
look
just
at the
been...
little brown spots now.
Yes, I believe so. They've just surrendered, so this is still technically occupied. And the Andaman Islands, a core state of India, by the way, are still technically occupied.
At this
but
moment, or
yes,
still?
At this moment and still technically, but they have surrendered. Japan has surrendered. Now, Korea, a formerly unified state, has just been split into two by the East and West. The USSR owning North Korea and the USA instituting a puppet regime in South Korea. France is taking back Indochina in what would later become a Vietnam War. Hey, I recognize this theme. This is one from Hearts of Iron 4, by the way. That's what I mean. Surrender of Japan marked the official end of World War II. The Pacific War was the largest theater of this conflict and took the lives of millions of people. Military casualties are presented below. Japan, 2 million. China, 1,302,000, apart from the Communist Party of China. USA was 161,000. Communist Party of China, 160,000. It's about to get a lot more horrible. British Empire, 82,000. Australia, 45. Philippines, 27. USSR, 22. France, 4,000. And Netherlands, 2,000.
Shame.
But it's about to be more horrible. Civilian casualties were even higher. Japan incurred the losses of 800,000 deaths. In China, 15 million civilians were killed as a result of hostilities, famine, and Japanese war crimes. Famine in Bengal, Burma, and Java took the lives of 5 to 6 million people. And yet the human race holds on. And this was the final result. How was that?
It was very interesting. I've not seen it like that before, where you can actually see it on a timed
day by day.
Yes, that's very interesting. They should put more of that like out there, like on
Yes,
Nova,
on
PBS, or something
mainstream
like
TV,
that.
because
BBC,
I don't
something
really
like that.
see that. You tend to see the map of Germany over Europe,
Yeah,
but you don't.
This stuff right here is astonishing. It's just it's horrible, and it should be shown in schools, home schools, PBS, you know,
Yeah,
just like that.
it should be more than
We should be more
just
more
this.
aware, and the day by day and year to year, and the map of the colors of the different
Yes.
countries coming in and going out and pushing and allies and stuff like that. It's very wow. I can't even describe what I just saw, and it's appalling, and the loss of life it's depressing, and it's a darn shame. It's
And
more
yet
than that.
we hold
I have
on.
no words for this.
And yet we hold on, yet we continue, and yet good has always triumphed. Even at so much loss, Japan still did not win. I think it is horrible, but also
When people try to take what's not theirs by force, I kind of feel like, I mean, I know that's bad, but karma is right there. It's just not right. It's just not right. That peace treaty was there, and then just lied. Just went in there and did it anyway.
I want to point out that the initial attack was also very unprecedented and uncalled for. Before the peace treaty was even signed, that attack was unprecedented, and the annexation of Korea beforehand that allowed them to do that attack was unprecedented as well.
Oh, they were coming in and they were going to be like, okay, we're going to protect our shores or whatever, but it was not that at all. I guess I didn't realize it previously. They were really being unkind and uncouth about that. It's just horrible.
It is.
Well, thank you for showing me.
You are welcome. I wanted to show you because it's a very interesting perspective that, like you said, we don't see a lot. We don't see the day by day a lot. You tend to see, especially on the news channels, you tend to see.
Show us what they show us.
Yeah, you tend to see Europe covered by Germany, and while Germany was a horrible state as well and did horrible things, Japan did similar amounts of things, and you don't tend to see many people talking about Japan, and you don't tend to see, either in Europe or the Pacific War, you don't tend to see such a detailed map of time on such things. You tend to see either this is their extent or this is their fall, but you don't tend to see everything that happened in between, every little piece. So yes, thank you for reviewing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome for me showing it to you. And thank you again to Karapashkashusha for making the video in the first place. Alrighty. Thank you, and thank you to everyone else who watched. Bye.